Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, a great millstone, pushing his word truthfully and sincerely. Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, pushing his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching his word truthfully, faithfully, strongly, and sincerely. And I say shalom to you Akim out there. And this is a news article from RT. And I'm about to do this sit-down lesson on this February 25th, 2022. And the highlight of this news article from RT.com, it was published February 25th, 2022. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads, NATO sending more weapons to Ukraine. Stoltenberg says the alliance secretary general announced on Friday that it will provide more military support to Ukraine. It says NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg announced on Friday that the group who would be providing more weapons to support Ukraine in the face of Russia military assault and deploying parts of its combat-ready response force. And it says Stoltenberg accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of trying to topple the democratically elected government in Ukraine.
You want to put this in fry?
Yeah.
I got these cans here.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Yeah.
cook that.
Oh, that's what you fix.
Fry with some cheese on bread shit.
Oh, okay.
This shit.
Yeah.
Alright,
All right, man.
you gonna guess up on it?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. Thanks. Salaki, I was talking to my OG, but back to the reading of the news article. It says we see rhetoric, the messages, which is strongly indicating that the aim is to remove the democratically elect government in Kyiv, he announced after a meeting with NATO leaders. It says allies are committed to continue to provide support for Ukraine, Stoltenberg added, including air defense systems. We are now deploying the NATO response force for the first time in context of collective defense. We speak about thousands of troops. We speak about air and maritime capabilities. He also said the response force is made up of special operation forces and land, air, and maritime forces, only part of the 40,000 contingents is being deployed. NATO Chief Stoltenberg said NATO leaders announced more weapons for Ukraine, including air defense systems. It says Russia was slapped with numerous international economic sanctions this week from NATO members like the U.S. like the U.S. and UK, United Kingdom. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced on Friday was directly sanctioned Putin, and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. U.S. President Joe Biden has announced this week thousands of additional troops were being deployed, which is 7,000 troops that he made the announcement yesterday, I believe. And he made the announcement of the harsh economic sanctions on Russia as well too, including their banks and everything that's financially, of economic sanctions on it. And continuing on with the reading, to provide support through, he insisted that he will not be fighting in Ukraine. Moscow announced their military offense on Thursday, saying they were moving forces into Ukraine and demilitarize and defundarize the area after Putin has recognized the two breakaway territories. Right, because I believe the president of president of Ukraine, he made a military mobilization, I believe, and he wanted the citizens and army troops and reserves to hold the spot down for Ukraine, you know, and I believe the men and women they was able to evacuate, but the men from I believe the young man and the men I believe that's in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. They, the president of Ukraine want them to defend their country. They let the men stay there, and let the women and children leave to evacuate from Ukraine with the ongoing Ukraine border crisis that's we seeing right now. And it says Moscow announced their military offense on Thursday, saying they were moving forces into Ukraine to demilitarize and densify the area after Putin has recognized the two breakaway territories as part of Russia. The new organized Donetsk's DPR and Luhansk's LPR People of Republic has sought Moscow's aid, claiming that they were facing an attack from Kyiv, Ukraine. The Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said none such plan was in place on Friday. He said we were willing to negotiate to avoid further human fatalities. Right, and I believe it was a report. President Zelensky said he was willing to have a dialogue and a conversation with President Vladimir Putin. I believe it didn't happen, so they had to cancel the talks, I believe. So yeah, and this right here, the highlight of the news article, and I'm gonna read it again for edification's sake after I got to read the article right here. And this, the NATO, which is allies with Ukraine, they sending more weapons to Ukraine. The announcement was on Friday. And then you had the United States, which is allies with Ukraine, and EU of the 7 countries, the European Union, which is NATO. They sending the support of more military weapons and possibly more deployment as well too. So yeah, you expect to see of these things continue enough more activity, which is warlike tactics in this area, which is ongoing war conflict between, Ukraine and Russia, Tremendous danger is already has been reported, and I have to tell you. And I'm gonna bring up there wars and rumors of wars. With this ongoing conflict that's going on, This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. Right, because we are hearing these rumors of wars, And these wars and rumors of wars are definitely becoming a reality. And we've been seeing it. Especially been seeing the death toll of those Ukrainian soldiers, which is 137 servicemen of soldiers of the country of Ukraine. And along with the civilians, they've been killed as well too in those air strikes and those military use, And it says, see ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? Because the end is not yet, because more upcoming prophecies are coming to pass as well too. And we're starting to see the stages and the process of that, with the MOTB, with the push for the Karagma, which is be in the book of Revelations 13 to verse 16 through verse 17, with the all-out digital currency coming as well too, right along with the imminent of World War III, because we are seeing the stages of approach of imminent World War III, because we're seeing it right before our eyes, because been seeing for the past couple of nights of Russia and Ukraine going at it with each other. You know, you've been seeing Russia. After President Vladimir Putin made that announcement of those that operation over there in Kharkiv and Donbass in the eastern Ukraine region over there. You've been seeing troops invading Ukraine. You've been seeing military tanks, you know, aircraft carriers, warplanes, sirens been going off in that region over there in the eastern Ukraine part, you know, and the soldiers been going at it with each other, you know. And I'm gonna go to verse 7. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 7. And for nation shall rise against nation, right? The increase and intensifying of the nations going against one another, even as from the same group, which is Idumeans, which they are the Ukraine and the Russians. They are Idumeans, Magog, Gog and Magog, the Medes. So yeah, that's that nation shall rise against nations, as we currently seeing it right now with the Russian Ukraine currently situation that's going on right now, and it's going to increase and intensify in these last days, even if they're trying to find solutions. But it's going to be continual war in different regions. It's going to be a continual of upwards of the people in different regions around the world. So, these are the signs of the times that we are living in. And continuing on with the reading in the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 7, and it reads to the Holy Scriptures. And I'm going to read it again. For nations shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdoms, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right. We're seeing the increase of pestilence, diseases, famines, and we're seeing the earthquakes in diverse places. So many different things that's not only, this is the main trending focus right now is the current crisis situation in Ukraine. You got many other activities going on that's related to biblical prophecies as well too. Like I mentioned before, the earthquakes in diverse places, that's increasing. Of the nations shall rise against nations, kingdom against kingdoms, pestilence, famine, in the famine of the word, the hyperinflation, the cost of living of things going up. A nation shall be divided, stand against itself. That as well too. So and then a lot of conditioning is going on with the weather, the high increase of magnitudes of earthquakes in diverse places around the world, heavy storms, heavy landslides, snowstorms, and everything, because, these are biblical prophecy times that we are living in, and we are definitely witnessing these things right before our eyes, and we are seeing them. And it's going to continue to increase, because, this is the year of Yahweh Bashem El Shai, and the year 2022 is turning up. He's turning up the heat on things. He's turning up the heat on prophecies. And we are seeing these things in the last days, and it's going to continue to increase, And I'm going to go to First Thessalonians. And I'm gonna go back into what the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. They're trying to be on that peace and safety mode. Now it's gonna be times when it's gonna have peace. Then you're gonna have times when it's war type, as well too. Because the Heavenly Father, He's a just balance, because He the control of all things of what's going on in the world. And this is the book of First Thessalonians, and this is a reference to the president of Ukraine trying to have a possible discussion talks with Vladimir Putin. And this is the book of First Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction come upon them, as they travail upon a woman with a trial, and with child, and they shall not escape. Right? Because even though they try to have like these possible, if possible, discussions between President Vladimir Putin and the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, you know, if they try to find ways to dissolve these tensions and trying to calm tensions and come to some type of ceasefire agreement, it's going to take time, and it's not going to be right away just like that. And that's when you goes into the what they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction come upon them. And I'm gonna bring out another scripture as well too.
Good thing you saved on the trip. Priceline. Every trip is a big deal.
Stuff. We love stuff. There's some really great stuff out there. But I doubt that any of us will look back in our lives and think, why should I bought even thinner TV? Found a lighter light.
Trying to bring that scripture up.
Smarter smartphone. Do you think any of us will look back in our lives and regret the things we didn't buy? Or the places we didn't go?
Going after, I need all the breaks that I can get. At Liberty Mutual.
Oh yeah, here you go. Yep.
Liberty Mutual customers.
And another reference of them trying to calm tensions down, or trying to come with some type of solutions, or make some progression of talks in the meetings, or private meetings or emergency meetings with the UN and the NATO and all that, and the leaders of these countries trying to make solutions, and some of them using harsh economic sanctions, that's teaming up with the United States and the European Union to use these hard economic sanctions on Russia. So you got it on both ways. It's like a balance, approach. And this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate, and a time of war and a time of peace, right? Because you're gonna have certain things of we live in a time of love, and then we're living in a time of hate.